Okay, I've done a ton of videos on gut bacteria and so forth, but it keeps getting more and more evolved. I want you to, well, watch this if you'd like, and it goes over the gut bacteria and some of research related to it. And it's very, I think it's extremely important that you watch this. Up to you. Okay, my friends, Roger, Mudfossil University. Everybody knows I'm trying to do something about health for kids. Been looking at autism, all kinds of things, and I found out it's all got to do with gut bacteria. Well, primarily bacteria. And this is bacteria on the surface of the body. Now listen to this. This is eczema, because it covers everything, 100%. Of every chronic illness that I can find has a bacterial, primarily gut related. However, this is bacteria living on the skin that live in sulfurous type of conditions, and these kids don't have any of this apparently, and they get terrible, terrible, terrible eczema. Watch.
Every centimetre of Holly Collins' body itched. Her life was constant scratching.
You know, to a little girl of 3.
All right, now I'm just going to show you something, and they were all skeptical. Oh well, she went to get and got virtually healed. You know, and here she's. I mean, at the end, you see how well she's doing. But look at this. What they do is they spray all this mineral water over and over and over, and the mineral water contains sulfurous bacteria, and I'm going to show you a paper written on this a long time ago. It's not something that is not known. This is what bothers me. These things are known, and they never get to anybody, because this is just like an alternative treatment, but it works. But they say, oh, they're skeptical. Well, watch.
Touched into her skin. We found others like American boy Aiden, who arrived like this, and 2 weeks on was transformed.
I mean, come on, this is heartbreaking. Now, pay close attention to this. You just saw what I showed you, how that kid was so severely affected. I had eczema and psoriasis and all that stuff, not to that degree, but I had it enough that it was about bothersome. Now, let me just show you something. They're looking into it, the state of prevention in atopic dermatitis, which is this kind of stuff. Reduced levels of filaggrin are also thought to play a role in a loss of lipid. The combined effect of these changes results in disruptive of the skin barrier and so forth. So it had significantly decreased disease severity, as measured by this stuff, may have reduced the amount of this. This is this fibrosis lysate. And they say a 5%, well, here it is here. This is 2019. These are both 2019. Here's a 5% Visceracilia filiformis lysate cream applied. They say it yielded promising results in animal models. Well, this is 2019. Well, let's go back 10 years, or more than that. 12 years, 10, 11, 12 years. And here we are back in 2008, and I looked into this study here, and it was the exact same study, and it said, yes, absolutely, it works. And then they went off about their lives. V-Phyllis lysate significantly improved AD, which is this atopic dermatitis, the same stuff they're talking about. Now this is, and they did the study, objectives, we performed all this, the bacteria, they put the bacteria in this 5% cream, severity, 5 volunteers, The results compared with placebo, this lysate significantly decreased all these different symptoms, the things that they score as problems. Active cream significantly decreased loss of sleep from day 0 to day 29. Qualitative, quantitative assessment, cutaneous microbial colonization revealed that this lysate reduced Staphylococcus aureus colonization of the skin, which gives you these skin conditions. The skin barrier, as determined by Tool, also improved significantly with the cream alone. So, conclusions. This Bacillus femoris lysate significantly improved the conditions. This may be in part due to reduction of S. loris, but seems to relate in most part due to a direct immunodularity effect on skin-associated immune responses. Well, it's the bacteria, right? This is what it says. Effects of non-pathogenic gram-negative bacterium Vitrocilla filiformis lysate. Exactly what they're talking about now. They're just starting to try to test it on animals. It was already done. They know it works 11 years ago. Why doesn't somebody understand this? All you have to do is look these things up. And this kid could have been getting this cream and he'd have been fine probably. That's what it looks like to me. Hello, my good friends. Gold poops right out of bacteria. They eat toxic, nasty, ugly metal, and then they poop gold out. That's what's called transmutation. Now, let's see what it has to do with autism. You say, Roger, what does that have to do with autism? Well, I'll tell you what. It has exactly this. All right, look at this now. This is J.B. Hand. The international scientists have found autism's cause. What will Americans do? Well, what is autism's cause? It goes down on all these different things, and it ends up saying that is aluminum. See? While the aluminum content of each of the 5 brains of people with autism was shockingly high, it was the location of the aluminum in the brain tissue which served as a standout observation. The new evidence strongly suggests aluminum is entering the brain in autism spectrum disorder kids and people via pro-inflammatory cells, which have become loaded up with aluminum in the blood and or lymph, much as has been demonstrated for monocytes at injection sites for vaccine, including aluminum adjuvants. Now, what they put the aluminum in for there is to create a response. It inflames you. Yes, absolutely. That's what it's for. Now, why does all this aluminum build up? Well, the bacteria is not there to chobble it up and change it. Chobble is a word my niece used to use. And they used to, gobble it up and turn it into whatever it is. Gold in the case of that other bacteria. Aluminum will be eaten up and turned into something else because the gold is coming down from who knows what it was before, but it's being changed over, it's being transmuted. Your body knows what to do, but you have to have the correct bacteria. Now, there's so much destruction of bacteria. It's unbelievable. And, I showed you that kid. Heartbreaking to see something like that. And after 10 or 12 years, knowing this is something that can help, this is not good. What we need to do is get some kind of research outside of the medical association somewhere, because that's a money machine. I'm telling you, they don't look into things. I've brought up a lot of things. I brought up all kinds of things that I think are valid to look at. Nobody's interested whatsoever, and it's all related to this bacteria. Now, I know there's some kind of, I've seen there is some kind of research going on, but it's so restricted, and then you end up with the same thing. 10 years ago they knew this was a solution, and here again 10 years later, oh boy, it's showing promise. Very, very hard to enjoy this kind of the way things go down in the medical system. And it really is. There's a lot of information that says, well, just like this stuff with the splashing the stuff on the kid and having them come back. There's another one where they give them a shot it's Enterocet, which is Embro, and they put it right in. You got to go past the blood-brain barrier up into the brain. It goes into the brain, and it has something to do with there's some molecules in there. I forget what it's called. There's something to do with tumor necrosis factor, TNF molecules, and it does something to them. They clean it up and boop, they just pop right off. They had total stroke destruction of their brain. Like that. And you shoot it up in there, and just jumped up and said, holy smokes, I'm good again. I mean, seriously, that fast. Within a minute or two, boom, up in action again. So there's a lot, and that's being pushed against, instead of looking into it with the kind of importance that it demands. To me, it demands importance of that. And what I'm looking at demands importance too. It is trying to cure people of these things. Now let's look at what bacteria's work with sulfur, because sulfur is a big one here. We discovered that sulfur has a pretty good effect on health. And let me just show you this right here. Gut bacteria, right? It creates chemistry. The bacteria in your gut creates chemistry. That's what happens. Otherwise, you just eat the stuff and it go away. You can't break it down. It's not going to happen. Nothing's going to happen with it. So, and if you look up any issue that you might have, I mean anything whatsoever, outside of a cut, but any, like sore this or, skin issues or anything, and put down and digestive disorders, and you will find out that this almost every one of them is related to a chronic issue, digestive issues. And it's because it's your biome. Now, what is a biome? The biome is every bodily surface on you. Now, what is your bodily surfaces? That's your membranes, inside your entire digestive tract, your lips, your mouth, your eyeballs, your skin, your scalp. Every bit of you is your biome. And every bit of that has to be protected against invasion. Right? Every bit of it has to be protected against invasion. Who protects it? What protects it? You think it just sits there and it's all just like a big rubber suit? No, no, no. It is completely, totally covered with bacteria. That is its natural place and its natural area that it develops, its natural enzymes and products to do its natural digestion and its natural protection and its natural conversion of molecules. All of that stuff happens naturally because of bacteria. Now, when you go into trying to fix things with chemotherapy, and you think you can go down there and throw a few molecules down in there that's going to kill these bacteria that are invading you and have no effect on anything else, that is a pipe dream, and that is not working. What you need to do is reestablish the bacteria that does that job for you. That's what you need. You got to put the bacteria in. So, you got to get them in all of those different areas. And what sits in all those different areas is all different ones. It's not just one that goes for everywhere. No, because they all have different needs and different environments. Different products that are coming past them. There's some that's in your blood. There's some that's everywhere. I mean, it's just everywhere. Now, and most of it's good for you. Some of it can hurt you. But the stuff that is good for you should have not allowed the stuff that's bad for you to come in and take that spot. Now, the bacteria live literally inside the layers of the membranes. Now, we're going to look at the membrane and so forth. But what this guy is saying is that they have figured out aluminum is the issue, and that's all there is to it. No, that's all there is to it. And it goes on about how they're 100% certain of it. And let's talk about monocytes and macrophages and so forth that are, and that they're coming out. I'm not saying they're not making reasonable, rational associations, but they don't understand about the bacteria removing the aluminum. They're finding all of the causes for these things, but they're not really the causes. The bacteria not being able to deal with these products. That's the causes. That's where we have to go. Now let's see what happens in the membrane. First of all, this is how important sulfur is. Sulfur is the 10th most common element by mass in the universe, the 5th on Earth. That's the 5th. Now, I say Earth is a living creature, and everything was alive. So that means 1/5 of all creatures were sulfur. That's just how it has to be. And sulfur is an interesting molecule. Atom. You see it right here, sulfur? It's right above oxygen. That is in the same valence organization as oxygen. So it's pretty reactive. Well, you know oxygen's very reactive, combustion and all that business. Now, sulfur has that same characteristic, only it's a higher energy level range, so it probably has more flexibility to do things. And there is a ton of sulfur isotopes. Hold on, let me look at that. Okay, before we get into the isotopes, first of all, you have to realize, as I've been saying, they have admitted that the Bohr model is not correct, and the nucleus of all the atoms is totally wrong. And this is what works perfectly, is electron flood. Now, electron flood is my theory, electron flood, which means that everything's made of electrons. That's all there is in the whole entire universe. However, they combine together in certain stable units, which are basically these. But then in between every one of these is isotopes, and there is a bazillion of them. I mean thousands of different step downs between each one of these particles, which is what we call a stable atom element. Now, all that is a bigger and bigger ball of particles of these. So they say a proton weighs 1,837 or times what an electron weighs. I'll go along with that. And they say that's a proton. But it's not just one big chunk. It's 1,837 of the electrons. Two of them together make a photon. The black part is a gauge boson. It's a carrier particle. It has no power. That's the one that has the power, the white one. And I showed this. Absolutely no question about that, and I will show it right now so we get that off our chest. Okay, for the bazillionth time, red pulsed laser. The particle is here. It concusses a huge wave. This is accelerated, a red pulsed laser. That is the particle now being pulled out of the wave because it's accelerated and being forced to turn into plasma and charge separate, creating the gauge bosons, which are the weak force. The white is the strong force. I will show you in a moment. Cherenkov radiation, Higgs fields, a new particle unknown to anybody. I don't know what it is, but I have my suspicions. Now that is the particle which is a photon, and that is back to back, as you recall, electrons, back to back, one up, one down, and that's just like two bar magnets together. And what happens when they collide? Well, they separate, and the black one just walks away, and the white ones explode like a bomb. It's like somebody the black guy's carrying a hand grenade and it just goes off. This is the spinning to the right, which means it will drift to the left. Expanded, compressed means it is slowing down. And then this is the charge separation with the gauge bosons, and we're going to leave it at that for light. That's the high-speed particle accelerating. That's the explosion, because it's being crushed into itself and everybody into their own magnetic regions. The whites will not allow each other to be next to each other. The blacks don't care. They're okay. They're just floating around. And they're just perfectly dots, which I showed you before were the dots. Now the dots are all just drifting around by themselves. See, they're right next to each other. They don't care. They're okay. No problem. There is obviously no interaction to speak of between the blacks. The white ones are extremely explosive. that's exactly what they talk about in gauge bosons and fermions, which are the other part of the boson, which is the explosive part. And now they have decided there's so many different leptons, which are particles, that the Bohr model is just out of the, but it works fine with mine. It's exactly what you would expect. Now that they found all these different particles, because all they are is pieces of these. It's like these things just go flying apart. And then they find these little particles, and some of those, and some of these, and some of that. And nothing much more to say about it. That's what it is. All right, so now we know that there's all these different particles that can just go all over the place, and they do. And even here, look, isotopes of sulfur. These are just sulfur. All those are different weights and charges and spins. All of these. There's all different, all those are different sulfurs. Now, how could that possibly be? Look, and some of them are stable, 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 stable. So I don't see, that's the problem with the Bohr model. It never did work, and they just never. They just let it fall by the wayside, because you can't break pieces up like this from a huge proton, a huge a neutron, and a tiny electron, and that's all there is. You just can't get this kind of stuff. So anyway, that's it means that we have to look at everything over again, and this sulfur is extremely reactive with bacteria. It loves bacteria. Okay, my friends, as I've been saying right along, we've found that sulfur is extremely important, and there is a ton of sulfate-reducing microorganisms. That's bacteria that attacks all kinds of things and breaks it down. They reduce things. They break them down into little bits, and they poop them out, and you get all kind of different chemistry. And they say this sulfate-reducing microorganism traced back 3.5 billion years, yada, 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 and are considered to be among the oldest forms of microbes, having contributed to the sulfur cycle soon after life emerged on Earth. That's another point of contention, how all that stuff they think just happened. All zip. We got a lot to look at. Okay, so let's look at it. So now we're going to scoot down here to, because it talks about ecological importance and the problems. Now we go to biochemistry. That's us. How does it reflect in creatures? What happens? Before sulfate can be used, now listen to this very, very carefully. Very carefully. Before sulfate can be used as an electron acceptor, it must be activated. This is done by the enzyme ATP sulfurylase, which uses ATP and sulfate to create adenosine 5 phosphosulfate, APS. APS is subsequently reduced to sulfite and AMP. It's all a bunch of cascading chemicals. However, did you see what it has to be activated? And that is done by an enzyme, ATP sulfurylase. Let's look into that. All right, well, before we can go too far, you have to understand what the difference is between bacteria versus enzymes. I'm always saying, you got to have the bacteria. You got to have the bacteria. Yes, because the bacteria creates a chemistry set. It creates chemicals. They're not living things. They are enzymes. And this is from Ultra Clear. They clean water is what they do, and they understand the bacteria and the enzymes and all the things that do this. I go to industry to find out my answers, and this is from industry, and they understand it. Bacteria versus enzymes versus chemicals. So, what do we got? Bacteria are living cells which have the capability of consuming wastes of different types. That is why they're in your body. They can consume, like in your lymph nodes. Absolutely amazing. all over your body there's lymph nodes, and in all of those lymph nodes there is bacteria, and the bacteria consumes the things that come there. And if the bacteria is not there, you are going to have some kind of lymphoma type issues. But anyway, let's just go back to the bacteria. You have to have it everywhere. It has to be in the right places, the right quantities, and so forth. So bacteria, living cells, have the capability of consuming waste of different types. They can reproduce by themselves. They actually produce enzymes. That's where we got to get to, is the enzymes. The enzymes do the chemistry we need. So, better said, bacteria are the factories that produce enzymes. I really don't have to go any further, but I am going to. When the right bacteria are present in the right quantities and in the right conditions, they produce enzymes much more economically than people can manufacture them. And that is the only things that are going to do the correct chemistry in your body. You can't just flush chemistry in there. Anyway, enzymes are not alive. And they do their job and then they go away. Absolutely fabulous. They're not alive. They're just produced on demand as a little chemistry set. They're complex chemicals produced by bacteria. Just say, hey, bacteria, I need some, blah, 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 and it makes it. They cannot reproduce in enzymes or actually consume waste. They break it up. They speed up chemical reactions without getting used up themselves. They do one and they do another one, do another one, do another one. So, however, enzymes are all proteins, and some enzymes attack proteins. Therefore, enzymes' usefulness is limited by digestion from other enzymes. They don't understand enzymes that well, I don't think. Enzymes are what we need to break down products. Other enzymes attack other enzymes, yes, to break down those enzymes, to take them out of the system. Everything is taken care of. It's all fully taken care of. Chemicals are not alive, okay? So they're sort of the same thing. But chemicals are soaps, acids, bases, solvents, and enzymes, yes. But the enzymes are made by our stuff. We know they make the right stuff. Now, chemicals do not reproduce themselves, correct. Neither do enzymes. Chemicals can be used to mimic the properties of bacteria or enzymes. They're used to mimic them, but they're not going to replace them, because what they do is they attack other things that have vulnerabilities that the specific enzymes of the specific bacteria for the specific job understands, not to create these specific chemistries that will harm other things they're not supposed to. And that's what happens. The hair falls out and all kinds of things happen to these people when you flush them with these chemistry that the body doesn't want. The body should take care of itself, and your hair shouldn't fall out. None of those things should happen. They're environmentally harmful. They're not as efficient. They're both. Right? How do bacteria, enzymes, and chemicals work? Bacteria consume waste materials. They go in and they break it all down. When the bacteria consume the waste, they convert the waste into safe byproducts, carbon dioxide, water. Yes. When the waste materials are very complex, such as pond sludge, ultra-clear bacteria actually produce enzymes to break down the complex waste into simple compounds that the ultra-clear bacteria can consume. So they take the really heavy-duty stuff, they break it all down, and then the rest of the stuff, it breaks it down into the just, stuff that you can just throw away. It's nothing. However, in your body, that doesn't happen, because that chemistry it's a cooperative, reductive chemical cascade that your body knows how to do, and we don't know how to do that. All right, I'm just going to leave it there, because it goes on and on and on and on. But that's the way to get rid of our issues, is with bacteria. That's what I'm presenting, and that's what I think is an absolute fact. I've seen it effective in a number of ways, and I'm not seeing it be looked at the way I feel it demands. That's all I'm going to say about it.